Curling her fingers into her palm, she gathered every ounce of strength she had and shot her fist up, slamming into the man's chin. His teeth clacked together, and his head snapped back a second before he dropped her with a grunt. A sharp pain lanced through her hip when she tumbled to the floor, but she forced herself to ignore it and run, screaming at the top of her lungs. Her steps were clumsy and her vision was blurry. Whatever drug she'd been given was still working its way out of her system. She blinked rapidly, stumbling forward. Muttered curses from behind her told her the men hadn't moved to follow her yet. That pitch made me bite my tongue." "Yeah, you'll need a healer for that," murmured the second man in an amused tone. When her sight cleared, she found she was in a hallway lined on either side with heavy metal doors. The pristine floor, ceiling, and walls were white and bare, save for the imposing metal doors on either side of her. The odd air, the clean white surfaces, the metal doors. Was this a prison or a hospital? Adrenaline spiked and she increased her speed. Hearing heavy footsteps behind her, she screamed louder, ignoring the searing pain shooting through her vocal cords. They'd implied the boss wouldn't want them to do whatever they had planned. They'd also mentioned he was waiting in room 6. If she could find room 6, at least she'd be safe from the 2 men behind her. While running, her frantic gaze landed on the door, searching for a number. The symbols she saw were foreign. She couldn't even place which language they might have belonged to, and yet the men had been speaking perfect English, so it was unlikely they were in a foreign country. What the hell is going on here? A few feet ahead, a stocky man stepped through a heavy door and scanned the hallway. When he spotted her, his eyebrows drew together in confusion, and then he shot a furious look behind her. 2 sets of hands suddenly gripped her upper arms, jerking her backward. "What's going on here? Why is she screaming and running through the halls?" he yelled, his booming voice echoing down the hallway. Alice needed him to know what they planned. "They wanted to take me to room 12 before bringing me to their boss," she screeched just before a firm hand wrapped around her mouth. The boss stilled. "Is this true?" They said nothing, but the hands on her arms tightened so painfully that she cried out into the calloused fingers covering her mouth. Their leader stepped into the hallway more fully. The mustard yellow of his coat clashed with the light orange of his shoulder-length, pin-straight hair. Alice wasn't sure if it was his utterly still posture or the anger displayed everywhere except his eyes that made a shiver run through her. There was something about him that made her want to lean into the painful hold of the men behind her. "You will ease your hold on her and take her to room 9. Any damage I find when I inspect her later will be inflicted on you. Do you understand me?" A loud roar reverberated from the room behind him, making the man flinch. Her stomach somersaulted as the sound of rattling chains rang through the open door. "I need to get back to our visitor," he said, glancing into the room, then back to his 2 flunkies. "Do you understand my instructions?" She heard a low, "Yes, sir," from each of the men, and then she was being pushed forward. As they passed the open doorway, she tried to glance in to see what creature the furious sound had come from. The briefest glimpse of a naked, chained man had her struggling and screaming with renewed vigor. The imprisoned man's eyes were completely black. He swung his head toward her, snarling and snapping his teeth. They pulled her thrashing body past the room, then one of the men stepped into her line of sight, and her screams died in her throat. Alice gazed wide-eyed at him, frozen in place. She blinked. Her eyes must be playing tricks on her. She couldn't process what she was seeing. He was a man, but not entirely. Murky brown wings flared behind his back, and sharp fangs flashed at her as he snarled. "Keep your mouth shut. You're hurting my ears." Was he an angel? Angels shouldn't look terrifying, though, should they? Mouth wide, she craned her head to look at the other guard, wondering if she was hallucinating. While most of his features were normal, he had white shining markings running around his face and neck. She hadn't noticed them before through her half-closed lids. Shrinking away, she felt her knees buckle. He glared at her with bright yellow eyes. A hoarse, "What are you?" was all she could manage as they resumed dragging her to